All right, joining me once again here on the Matthew Filipowicz Show is my friend Josh Stearns. Josh is a campaign director at Free Press, which you can find, of course, at freepress.net. You can also find him on Twitter at JC Stearns. Josh, thank you so much for being on the show again.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right, so Josh, there is a ton of action at the FCC going on right now when it comes to media consolidation and media ownership. Why don't you just give us the rundown? What is going down right now at the FCC?
Right now, the FCC is considering pushing forward with some dramatic rule changes that would really change the shape of who can own what around the country. They want to gut the 30-year-old newspaper broadcast cross-ownership rule, which may sound wonky, but what it really means is that if this goes through, one company will be allowed to own the major daily newspaper, 2 television stations, up to 8 radio stations, and that company could be your internet service provider, all in one pound.
Wow. So why are they doing this now? I mean, I know a lot of this. One of the things you guys are talking about is that supposedly Rupert Murdoch wants to buy the Tribune company, which has the Chicago Tribune and the LA Times. Is that one of the reasons that they're doing this now, or is it something bigger than that?
Well, the why behind it is the bizarre thing. We don't really know. And the major people who used to lobby for this relaxation of cross-ownership, like Media General, have actually started breaking up their cross-owned properties because it's not a good business decision, and it sure isn't a good civic decision. So why the FCC would be pushing these bad rules that, then Senator Obama back in 2007 and 8 was vehemently against. He led the charge in the Senate against these rules the last time the FCC tried to push these through. And now we're seeing the FCC doing it again. The only people who've been at the FCC lobbying hard for this is News Corporation. So clearly Murdoch wants to get his hands on the LA Times and the Chicago Tribune, where he can't buy those papers right now because he already owns television stations. Wipe out this rule, and he's free and clear.
Crazy. Okay, so let's go one by one because again, you guys actually have a pretty decent graphic just to sort of give the main points down. This is what the FCC will go point by point on this. Point number 1. It will give Rupert Murdoch more power, which is reason enough to try to stop it right away. That the man already has enough media. Let's go into details. So obviously he wants to own those 2 companies, but obviously he owns television stations. So let's go into a little more depth about what this could actually mean.
Right. So Rupert Murdoch already owns the Wall Street Journal, the New York Post, and 27 television stations around the country, as well as, of course, Fox News, his crown jewel, and a range of other smaller properties and publishing companies. So he's already a media giant in the U.S. This is the same man, we'll remember, who's being investigated for corruption abroad, whose top executives are having court cases thrown at them in the U.K., and who has sparked controversy around the world for the way that he's used his media to influence policies that benefit him. So why we would be handing over more media to him is beyond me.
Yeah, I'm sure he didn't tap any phones in America, though. I'm sure that he just, I'm sure that was just something he did overseas. Why, I believe that he didn't actually do anything illegal in the U.S. Right, Josh? I'm sure I'm correct on that.
I'm sure the Atlantic made a huge barrier between goodwill and badwill, and that none of that ever spilled over here. But luckily, the FBI and others aren't so sure. So he is under investigation here domestically as well.
I'm talking to Josh Stearns, campaign director at Free Press, freepress.net. And neither you or I know what's going through the head of the chairman, Janikowski, or Barack Obama. But what we can talk about is the fact that this, and you mentioned this earlier on, is the fact that this is the exact opposite of what Barack Obama promised when he was running for president. The exact opposite. Go into some of the things he actually said because it really is a complete and total 180.
Yeah. So Barack Obama and John Kerry actually published a scathing piece in Politico in November 7th, right around election time in 2007, saying that the FCC may soon consider changes to the media ownership rules and help big media companies get even bigger. But they'll do nothing to make media more responsive to minority viewpoints in local communities. And they go on to say, we will keep fighting until we have a free and open media that represents every American in our diverse nation. And this is just one quote of many that Barack Obama said in 2007 and 2008, specifically about this cross-ownership ban and how important it was to ensuring media diversity in America and how vigorously he promised to fight it. Fast forward now to 2012, and we're facing a situation where his FCC is prepared to relax this ownership law, even though just weeks ago they released data that showed that minority ownership is still at dismal levels. It's a baffling sort of set of circumstances, and I think that that Senator Barack Obama then and President Barack Obama now just need to understand that what's at stake, because I don't believe that he would want to see this go forward. And honestly, the independent fact-checking organization PolitiFact actually ranked his campaign promise to promote media diversity as a promise broken just a few weeks ago because of all of this new news.